We're here at the XC, and you might be wondering why they're not carrying their tools. Well, it's not because they can't use them, and it's not because the bikes don't need them. No, it's because we've got this, the Tech Zone. Since the early 2000s, mountain biking cross-country has had tech zones. What are they? Where are they? Well, often, depending on the track makeup and how it is, what the kind of shape of that spaghetti-like track is, there might be one, there might be two. Here at Nova Mesto, there's actually two. One combined with a feed zone and then one out back on the course as well. Why do we have them, you might be wondering? Okay, we've got to travel back in time to the kind of 2000s when, well, XC courses were a little bit tamer and we were obsessed. We'd got a little bit of a cult, which was the weight weenie cult. Everything was as light as possible. The courses weren't that challenging, so riders were running really light components. And it was decided by, well, a combination of manufacturers and teams that, well, a puncture could ruin the whole overall World Cup standing. So they introduced a tech zone where you can do lots of different changes to your bike if you've got a mechanical, most commonly flats, but some teams here are going to have handlebars, they're going to have different brakes, they're going to have rear mechs, they're going to have shifters, they're going to have a lot, almost a whole bike, but not quite because that would be against the rules. So what do they do here? Let's find out. We're here in the Cannondale factory racing pits to find out what Cal uses when he's in the tech zone for Charlie Aldridge's bike. So what have you got in? So you've got a massive bag, first of all. Okay, I can see a seat post dangling on the outside, but what have we got inside?
Lots to fit in. So we have Charlie's seat post here. It's measured with the tape, so if he has any issues with his dropper, snip the cable, we can drop this one right in. Saddle angle, everything's measured out already. I mean, tech-wise, we've got a derailleur and a mech already connected with the gear ratios on here, so that should work if and when needed.
So gear ratio is related to chain length, so if you're running a different chain, the cassette would be the same because it's XTR.
The guys are on the 1051 cassettes, but chainring sizes can change between courses and for short track as well. So.
Okay, so but by having that listed on there, you know exactly that is all ready to go when you stick it on. There's no faff.
Yeah, it should be running as smoothly as possible after a kind of quick change, and we would normally just cable tie the outer cable around the frame because obviously you've not got time to route that all through the frame. Tool row here with everything that you could need. So we got obviously Allen keys, Torx, snips, extra Allen keys, chain pliers, some extra axles as well. We have chains already cut to length. Each rider has their own bag with their chain, again cut to length with whatever chainring size they've got on, but it's always good to just have extra tools just in case. You never know when you're going to need a hammer, so.
A fine adjustment tool.
Yeah. I mean, you should be able to fix everything with a hammer, eh?
Yeah, or tape, or zip ties.
Zip ties. Yeah, I mean, most of the time riders will give us spare shoes, spare glasses for tech as well, but sometimes if they haven't done that or the shoes are not available, then you can, if a boa snaps, you can just wrap it with some Gorilla Tape.
So it's all about those kind of like fast, not necessarily pretty fixes, but something that means that they can complete. Oh, now we're getting power tools. Okay, what we got?
So this is the drill we use for rear wheel changes. 6mm in there, so just makes it a little bit quicker than using an Allen key. With the lefty forks, we don't use the drill, we have a 5mm Allen key. It's just a little bit safer for the threads there. Big Makita pump, in case any of the spare wheels have any issues, you can pump them back up. Also, we'll go to the start line with the guys as well, so we normally do kind of tyre pressures last minute as late as possible.
And that's just because I guess it's hot on start lines, or can be hot, so there can be like temperature variation, or is it just a consistency thing to get the racer's mind ready to know that everything is checked?
Yeah, I mean, tyre pressure is probably one of the things that we do adjust most on course practice leading up. So if the riders are really happy with that and they have it super dialed in, then there are a lot of variables leading up to the race day as well. When you're on the rollers, that can heat them up quite a lot. So we'll try and do tyre pressures as late as possible just to make sure they're spot on.
And well, I guess we should talk about this Makita tool. I've envied these for quite some time. I saw them, decades ago at XE races, and I really wanted one. So effectively, we've got a mini compressor. Is that right? That you can set to sort of pretty accurate PSI, and then you've got the digital gauge then to do it exactly.
These are probably the most accurate ones that we have for tyre pressure. So we use these to get a rough guide, like you say, and then dial it straight in with the pressure gauge there. But yeah, these are pretty good. Also the wheels and tyres that we use, you can pop a tubeless setup on with these, no bother, and it goes up straight away. Okay,
a testament to the design there. That's yeah. With some tube setups you can't, or wheel setups you definitely can't do that. And in terms of other tools, I can see is that a brake in there as well? Would you? Okay.
So we have brakes. I've also got my 8mm here just in case you do have any issues with the brakes that you need to swap, and pedals as well.
Okay.
And that's something that can obviously get smashed off a rock or whatever. So always have a set of these handy as well.
And this might be a kind of odd question, but I'm going to ask it throughout, so I'll ask other mechanics too. Is this something that does Pete get you to drill through and practice? Like, do you have a practice session doing?
We were out here yesterday practicing wheel changes because as much as it's good practice for us, it's good practice for the riders as well, so that they know exactly what they're doing for wheel changes to make it as smooth as possible for them. But yeah, it's something, doesn't matter how many times you do it, it's good to just keep practicing, eh?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Amazing, thank you very much. And hopefully we don't see you on race day at all, in a good way, yeah. Thank you very much appreciated.
And they are off and racing in Novo Mesto Namarave.
We found out later that Charlie had snapped his chain, and it took the team a little while to, get him back into the race. Overall, he finished 40th, which might not sound that impressive, but when he left the tech zone, he was pretty much the last person on the track. And post-pit stop, he did set back-to-back fastest laps. But that initial time lost in the tech zone was too hard to claw back any more places. But still, last place to 40th at a World Cup is impressive. There'll be more to come from Charlie, I'm sure. We're here in the Scott-SRAM booth with a very, very experienced, very winning mechanic. This is Yanick, the mechanic, and he's going to show us what he takes to the tech zone to make sure that should anything untoward happen to Nino's bike or any of the Scott-SRAM racers, he's going to be there to fix it in a flash. So, Yanick, what have you got in your wonderful branded tool pouch?
Yeah, that's my little beauty case. For sure, we bring some tools. We have spare stuff like wheel sets, seat post, shoes, sometimes glasses. That's not in here, obviously, but I can show you quickly now some tools and some spare stuff I'm gonna bring. So, inside, tool wrap. Most still dirty from the last race, as you can see. Allen keys, torques, CA2 cartridges. Also, I bring some, how do you call them?
We'd call it a plug, but worm or, yeah.
Exactly. Plugs. Maybe the tools looks like a little bit too much, but we do the pre-start. We are in the warm-up box. So we are covered with all kind of tools, also to maybe do some last-minute suspension pressure, stuff like that. Then spare pedals, batteries, a brake. You never know.
So front or rear or both?
So right now it's the long rear cable, but in case a brake on a crash breaks or the lever is gone, it's a spare. Cross fingers, I've never experienced something like this. So, but being prepared is everything. Derailleur, chains, different length already, shortened for the chainring size. Then pressure, little compressor, a hammer. You never know. A tape. I also bring more or less everything. Yeah.
Okay, that's fascinating.
Breaker, Newton wrenches. So yeah.
It's fascinating. We chatted to another mechanic earlier, and he'd got a similar setup, but because he'd got cables, he's got to have a whole setup. Whereas with SRAM Axis, it is just a rear mech.
Yeah, it's way easier for that stuff. But then you have to carry batteries. Never forget these batteries. So and charge them. So that's yeah. But yeah, cables I could finally took them away when flight attendant came, because I always had some spare cables in case the twin lock lever, whatever. Yeah, handlebars sometimes we also bring. So there are some crashes involved where you can break the handlebar. So yeah.
So you're always ready for anything. Impressive. Thank you very much for your time and good luck. Hopefully we don't see you in action at all on the weekend.
Yeah. Thanks. Cross fingers.
Indeed. Cheers. Thank you. And we're joined by a legend of the sport. He's won a lot of world titles. He is Alvo Mech. He is a real legend within the sport, and he's going to talk us through what he takes to help the Canyon Collective racers in the tech zone. So take it away.
Yeah, okay, so that is the... Okay, so thank you. So that is the main backpack that I take to the fit zone, plus spare wheels, of course.
Okay.
And inside in the backpack, I have these two small bags, small bags, I think. One is the spare parts. So we have the gear that normally we are not going to change, because with this new system it's really difficult to broken. So, but we take just in case. Different chains, so because the riders can set up different chain rings also, yep. So we try to have one per each chain ring. We have also pedals, just in case something can happen with the pedals. I take also brakes. It's really difficult to broken the brake. There's some cracks could be, so it's good to have it if we have to change it. Some pods. Like I said, the shifter that we say before, then we say pods now, and I think in English is the cleat, no, for the seat post.
Seat collar, yeah.
Seat collar. So this one, just in case something happen also, and some dropper or seat posts. I have 3 because I have 3 riders, 1 per each rider.
Yeah.
And that is when normally about the spare part that. We take to the fit zone, and after the tools, we have not too many also, because try to be simple on the fit zone. But for me the main one is this one. So go to the through axle to change the wheels. Yep. For flats, the simple. For take the pressure of the tires just before the race in the box with the riders. They ask sometimes about that because they're really important. So. And the same for the fork and the shock, exactly the same about the pressure that the riders ask maybe sometimes, but nothing more. So some actually really simple. This one, that one just in case we have to fix the rotors. Normally never happen, but could be. So and that's it. Some for the torque maybe, but yeah, that is the main thing, no. And the more important for me was of course this one, because it's the tool that we normally use in the fit zone more. Okay. So simple.
I'll steal that back. Thank you so much. It's really fascinating to see in terms of the organisation of how you've got it all sort of blocked out, but also how you're kind of doing it just in case. It's like insurance that if something really bad happens, you've got it covered. But most likely, because you're doing the work here, you're doing the preparation here, that's the big part, is making sure that everything is checked.
Yeah, that is the main thing about the mechanics. We try to do, we have the 2 or 3 days before the races, we have a lot of work about check everything, no, about the bikes, because the more important thing is nothing have to happen in the races, no. We have to be fast for sure if there's something we have to do on the fit zone, but of course we try to don't work too much there. So and flats normally sometimes happen, but it's true that we don't get too much. So yeah, for now we are really easy life in the fit zone.
Thank you so much. It's really fascinating. Thank you. Okay, we're in the Mondraker factory racing pit and we're talking about Tech Zone again. And previously, all our discussions about Tech Zone have been about, well, the full-length Olympic distance cross-country race. But we're chatting here with Benno and we're going to talk about what we do in a Tech Zone, but for the short track, because it's different. It's a different race, and that means what the mechanics take to a Tech Zone is going to be different. So, Benno, if you could take it over.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming by. I love short track. As a mechanic, you don't have to carry too many spares to the Tech Zone. I mean, it's such a short race, so intense, so fast. So you have to weigh out what what is actually worth to do on the bike and what you're just gonna let go. Because if the mechanical is too big, then the rider most likely is gonna be out of points. They're not gonna fight for the starting position anymore, so they probably better off saving their legs for their race the next day and just call it a day. So also as mechanics, we don't carry that many spares with. There's a couple of things that make total sense to take with, like of course a wheel set. It takes about 15 to 20 seconds to change a wheel, so that's important to have. You have excess batteries. Sometimes when they have a crash at the start, you never know. Could be that they lose a battery. Another quick thing to fix, a chain, of course, if the crash happens not too far away and the rider is quick to the tech zone. Also there, you're talking about 20-25 seconds the most to get a new chain on it. So everything around below a minute makes sense to change. Everything above a minute, it doesn't make much sense anymore. So you can change a seat post, things that are quick, but once you have to take out the handlebar or anything bigger, chain rings or anything, makes it not worth anymore, especially not in the short track. So that's why, yeah, it's quick and easy, it's fast, pressure's on, so you always kind of like keep an eye on your rider. You need to make sure that they get off the line okay. And once they're off the line, you kind of like can debrief and then you keep an eye on them. But luckily, yeah, it's an intense race and the crashes most of the time are happening right at the start because everyone is like so on the edge when it goes off. But then from there, it kind of like stretches it out. The new drivetrains, they're all able to handle the shifting on the load. So back in the day, lots of broken chains, all those kind of things happen because of the speed and how aggressive they race the short track. Now the equipment is top notch and we had no issues on the bike, so touch wood. And yeah, it's a super cool race. And also as a mechanic, being there in the feed zone or in the tech zone, there's no feed in the short track as well, so you're not allowed to feed. You're only there with your tech parts, and that's it. So it's quick, dirty, and short race.
And in terms of what tools you'll take, because you're only doing so many kind of like small sub-minute changes, does that change what tools you take as well?
Well, we sponsored by Park Tool, so ideally you take everything with because you want to show off, right? But no, same thing. You don't have to take too much with. You need a 6 Allen key, so you have a multi-set key, Torx key, batteries. You don't need any tools. The chains are length, so you know exactly that you don't have to cut anything. It needs to be quick. So the chains are pre-length. You put them out. You make sure that your quick link is in place. So whenever you have to change it, you grab it. And you do that stuff also in training. Like we do sessions with the athletes so they know exactly how to behave when they get to the feed zone or to the tech zone, what they're in charge of. If you have 2 mechanics, the rider steps away. If it's only 1 mechanic, then you have the rider holding the bike, but all those kind of things we do with the athletes as well beforehand. For the cross-country race, you carry much more because there it can be tire pressure or the suspension you need to change or whatever. So there you have much more with. Short track, it's easy. Small little backpack, that's it.
As you can see behind us, we've got the mechanics waiting and watching. So they're not twiddling their thumbs. No, they're doing loads of work now, watching the bikes, looking at how they handle, just in case they can see something wrong with a tyre or something wrong with a bike. We've got the big screen here. And up on the other section of the course, well, they're going to be doing the same, watching the bikes as they come through. The pressure is really on for the mechanics. We're at the second tech zone. It is last lap. It is still every lap to be fighted off. So you can still get a mechanical on the last lap. Every mechanic here is on tender hooks, just waiting for, well, their rider to go through clean without any mechanical issues. And we've seen one rider come through with a puncture. It was a slower change. It wasn't perfect, but that can happen in racing. That's why these mechanics do so much prep. Probably hear in the background, the race is over. And yeah, the intensity, the pressure has lifted for all the mechanics behind me. And I think it's really important to stress that being here in the tech zone, just watching, brought me back out in a kind of mild stress of sweaty palms. Because, okay, I've done downhill, but I've been in a similar place where you want the bike to be in a perfect spot. It's probably more stressful for these XE mechanics than it is for downhill mechanics. But the thing is that there's the stress here, but there's all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. You might see, you know, the flashy jet wash shot of a mechanic working away at a bike, but it's genuinely the hours and hours and hours that they dedicate to their riders to make sure that the suspension is set up perfectly, that the wheels are set up exactly as the racer wants. Likewise with tyre pressure. We were talking to some of the mechanics the day before, and they were still fine-tuning what pressures that they want to run, whether they're going to run an insert or not. There's so much that goes into being a race mechanic. So yes, there's high pressure at the tech zone, but it's that whole build-up where the mechanics are working so hard to ensure that that race bike is in the best possible way ready for race. Hopefully you found this wonderful view into what the mechanics do all day and what they do in tech zones really interesting. And let us know in the comments what you found the most interesting. Do you want us to go to more cross-country races? Let me know down in the comments down below, and enjoy your ride.